Well, the Lobos get their first win under the Jason Eck era. It was not the prettiest of games, but I think we have to give Idaho State some real credit. They gave UNLV a tough game in week 0. They gave the Lobos a tough game on Saturday, and New Mexico just showing in, true grit, not really letting up and finishing out the win convincingly. I think Lobos are going to be one of those teams that sort of play to their competition week by week. They looked pretty good against Michigan, had their flaws. You were expecting them to sort of, blow out Idaho State. It was, they were up pretty good and had a chance to be up 21-3 before a Dorian Thomas fumble switches the momentum. They go into halftime 14-10. From there, they get outscored in the third quarter and makes it a 16-13 game. And now, if you're a Lobo fan, you feel a little bit nervous. Fourth quarter, Lobos were able to finish it out. I think Jack Lane, played a pretty great game. Not all the stats, but just showed he knew when to run. He knew when to throw the ball away. He managed the game perfectly for the Lobos. Scott Trey Humphrey had a huge day. 141 yards, 2 touchdowns. Props to DJ McKinney and Damian Bankston really sharing the carries and chopping away at this Bengals defense that could be stingy at times. Idaho State, I like their offense. They're finding a way to get 5, 6, 8 yards at a time against this New Mexico defense. Keep the drive going. They finished this game with more first downs than the Lobos. Definitely wasn't an easy win for the Lobos, but we have to give this Idaho State team credit. That's 2 times this year that they've been able to take a Mountain West team down to the wire and kept it within 10 points when they'd been 17 and 24 point underdogs in those matchups. So I think this Idaho State team was a little bit underestimated going into the season. They're scrappy. They keep drives going. They don't make too many mistakes. I'd say right now the Lobos' biggest weakness right now is that O-line that was getting pushed back consistently. And definitely their D-line. Their O-line had troubles all night. Despite the Lobos' huge, Russian scores, but still improving on the line, maybe as the weeks to come, will be detrimental to the Lobos' success. Dorian Thomas is definitely their go-to target in these games. Made some great plays. Huge upside for X team. Got the first win at home. Start your season. You've looked pretty good in both your games now. Now you're gonna look to hopefully put on some magic and carry on with teams like UNLV were able to do just this weekend as they go on the road and take on UCLA in week 3.